if any of you have ever been on Handshake, it can be a little overwhelming. There's just so many jobs that just pop up everywhere and internships. So if you can kind of answer these questions, you can kind of filter through that and get like a good gauge on what you're actually looking for. Are your career interests more towards like health or English and writing? Are you looking for like to work in a nonprofit like Make a Wish? Are you looking to work with more like the government or larger corporations like Google and Apple? So these are definitely very helpful. And some of these you wouldn't even think to ask yourself, such as like, do you want something paid? Do you need something that's paid? Or can you handle an unpaid internship? And would you want, or are you able to get like an internship course credit for it? I personally have done that. Um, I study communications, and so I was able to get to communicate with my advisor, and I got 3 credit hours for an internship that I only did about 150 hours over the course of a semester. So it's really not a lot of work. And that takes away, like, I did that. So then I didn't have to take a class and I got paid for that internship. So I was making money to get course credit. So that's really nice and something I would highly suggest looking into if you can. If you can get course credit in an internship that may replace, taking another class, it'd be really beneficial. Um, so now kind of just like what you should be preparing for before you really even kind of get into the whole searching for an internship or a job. You should make sure that you have the desired materials. Do you have a resume? Is it up to date? Do you have a cover letter? Um, and just kind of like, do you have people you could ask for references? And definitely when it comes to references, you shouldn't wait to the last minute to ask people to be a reference. Um, you know, if you apply for a job, it may be a good rule of thumb to then ask those people, like, hey, I just applied for this job. Do you think you'd be able to be a reference for me? And sometimes I apply for jobs and they don't ask for it, but it's just a good rule to have like those back pocket people just in case somebody notifies you and they need like 5 references. You already have contacted those people and they're ready. They know, they've been alerted beforehand so that it's not just this last minute thing of you scrambling. You should also have like some writing samples, or if that's something like that you're geared towards in your career, you want just different like portfolios or kind of like a summary of any experience you've had, especially like research and whatnot. We at the Career Success Center, we don't review like writing samples and portfolios, but the writing center can help you with majority of that. So, but we as like the Career Success Center, us SPCs, me and Sarah, and then we have other PCCs. We can like review your resume with you, and we have virtual drop-in hours this semester, Monday through Thursday. And I have a slide that goes over the hours and the link to find that. Where if you're like, you don't know like where you should put certain things in your resume or you're trying to condense it, you can like drop in and we'll like kind of go over what the basics of a resume or kind of maybe we think you should put that there or there's like a rule that you didn't know about when writing resumes. So we're always here to help you guys. And it's definitely a tool that not a lot of undergraduate students utilize, but it's something that could really make a big difference when it comes to entering the job market or internships. Something else that I don't feel like a lot of people know about is you can actually download an unofficial transcript via Handshake. So some jobs and internships will ask to see that, and you can actually download that from your Handshake. And then when you're making your resume, you should really try to highlight a lot of like your leadership experiences. So if you're like tossed up between 2 different jobs, maybe try to think about which one shows more of your like an achievement or a challenge you had to overcome, or maybe like you were the lead salesperson at one, but you were just a cashier at another. You want to like highlight how you've taken responsibility to jobs because they really like that. So those are just some things to think about. you should kind of, so we've already gone over like you need to narrow down your goals, and then once you realize kind of what you want, then you should start to narrow down and prepare your materials. Like, okay, like this is kind of the job I want. So these are the materials I need to have ready for those jobs and when I apply for them or internships. So, okay, so these are some of the career success resources. Next week, actually, Sarah's going to be doing a presentation on networking and how, like, very, very important that is. But here's a tip sheet. I won't go necessarily too in deep into that because I don't want to touch on anything that Sarah's going to talk about next week, and just be very repetitive. But I will show you the resume cover or the resume template on the Career Success website. We actually offer a template, and it should be popping up. Okay, so you can use this template that we offer, and you can delete this comment at the top, but you can just fill in your own information, and it's
Hey,
already kind of like,
Spencer?
yeah. Oh, you can't see it.
Yeah, it didn't go to the next page
Oh,
for the with the tip sheet on it. I think
oh, okay.
second tab up top.
Yeah, it's the Word doc. Hold on, I have to like edit how I share. I forgot you have to do that.
Sometimes you have to stop sharing and then share
Mhm.
a specific screen. It's odd.
I wish I would just move with it. Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, perfect.
Thank you. So here's the template that we offer at the Career Success Center for resumes. Um, and this is really nice because you basically don't really have to do anything. You kind of just fill in the information and it'll just file through. So it's really simple. And you can see here, we have it as like relevant experience up top and then additional and then any like leadership experience. Because again, you really want to highlight any leadership experience you have because that's very important to jobs. And then it goes into skills and honors activities. Um, so honestly, if you ever are confused about like what to put in these areas, or like maybe you're like, I have something that's additional and you don't know the difference between like the relevant experience or additional experience, says you can definitely come into our virtual drop-in hours. Any one of us are more than happy to help you guys kind of figure out how to fill this out, what's the best place to put a job or an experience. Like kind of that's like what our job is. Like we're here to help you guys. um, I know it's kind of getting to that time where people are starting to search for summer internships. And, I know maybe not now, but later on after winter break, you'll begin to apply for those. So definitely before going to the big career fairs, maybe just stop into our virtual drop-in hours just to have your resume reviewed, because it may look really good to you, but having a third party kind of look at it, and if like we don't understand something on your resume, then an employer probably won't understand something on your resume. So it's definitely nice to just have that extra review and comment just in case. Okay. Okay. Um, I'll just keep it as this because I have the other tip sheets up. So then we also have a tip sheet on how to write a cover letter. We can also kind of guide you guys through a little bit of that. I actually have it open, I think. Oh, so here, if you go to our career success website, you can see that right here is where the resume tip sheet is. Here's the template. And then here's kind of some tip sheets on like, what to include in some like your core resume sections, kind of tips for freshmen. And then if you're like military, information technology, actuarial, like it just goes on and on and on. um, and then maybe it was in here. So here's the tip sheet kind of on how to write a cover letter. Um, what I really like about this is it talks about kind of the email etiquette for like sending cover letters. There's a lot of this I never really thought of, um, but it's very crucial because a lot of times employers will email you and then they like will ask for that and then you have to email them and it talks about kind of what you should say in an email when sending that. And it gives a really great example of like a sample one that even if you wanted to, you could just copy and kind of paste this, but like fill in your own information just to get kind of that like template and like how it should look. And then it goes down to even like show you guys how to some sample email messages, like with like application emails and initiating contact. So this one I feel like is really, really useful. And it also goes into like kind of the networking emails. If you've met somebody at an event or whatnot. And then down below is these are our office, our virtual drop-in hours. So we're here Monday through Thursday, and you can just go to this link, which will take you to the Career Success website, and it's all the way at the bottom. And if you just click virtual drop-in hours, you can access them right here. So it's very simple, and we're always there to help. Somebody's always monitoring the Zoom, so somebody's always there to help you guys. Okay. So now after you've kind of prepared all your materials and you know what you're looking for, then you can get more into like searching for internships. And I have here like very highlighted that you should start early. Um, if you want if you want an internship over the summer, you shouldn't wait till April to start looking for that. You should really start looking at the semester prior, but like at the beginning of that semester, just to get early. And I have in this image right here, like with PetSmart, their application deadline is like March 31st. I would highly suggest not waiting to the last minute to apply for something because sometimes when it comes to internships and jobs, they posted this September 3rd. And if you see that, you're like, oh, I have plenty of time to apply. You want to try to apply early because they may, by this deadline, have already picked a candidate. Um, so it seems like you have a lot of time, but for some jobs wait till the deadline, but others like they're looking through candidates like actively and may pick somebody before that deadline and then you've missed out on that. So definitely try to, if you really like something, don't wait. Apply for it then, especially because you already know what you want, all your materials are prepared. You shouldn't be waiting ideally because you should already be prepared to apply for them. um, and then I just wanted to hit at this. We have this Career Accelerator Fund. It's a great opportunity and something that everybody should apply for. You know, this fund actually provides financial support for students who, if you did find an internship you really liked, but it was unpaid, and you were like, oh my gosh, like I have rent and bills, and you have a dog that you have to feed, and you have to feed yourself. Like it, being in college, there's a lot of financial burdens, and this fund can kind of help take that away. So it's definitely something you should look into. Like it's kind of hard because everybody just thinks like, oh, I just want paid jobs or paid internships. And but sometimes the best internships are unpaid and you can get the most experience from them. So definitely don't just dismiss those types of internships because the Career Success Center is here to help and they have this fund to help financially. And actually Sarah received this fund, so she can actually touch a little bit more on kind of the impact it had for her and her internship. If you want to do that, Sarah.
Yeah. Hey guys. So I work alongside Spencer, but I actually received a Career Accelerator Award last spring. Basically, I'm an English major, so I was looking for a job related to writing, and a lot of those roles were unpaid or minimally paid, but mostly unpaid. And so I had this really cool job lined up, and I was worried about staying in Columbus in the summer without being able to work full time. So basically, I applied. It was a pretty easy application. You have to submit like a budget, a potential budget that you would use it for. So basically, how much money you're applying for. And yeah, it really helped me. At the end of the summer, I was able to add to my writing portfolio and have like real published pieces of work. So I really encourage anyone who, especially if you're in an industry where payrolls seem they seem hard to find or hard to come by, that you make use of those resources like the Career Accelerator Fund or any other scholarship you find, because definitely just don't knock out the unpaid experiences.
Thanks, Sarah. I mean, she couldn't have said it better. Like, just because they're unpaid, you shouldn't dismiss them, because some of the unpaid ones honestly give the best experience. And if you do want to learn more about that, we actually have a career coach. Her name's Barbara Harvey. She's the point contact about the fund. So definitely reach out to her. You can find her on our website and her contact information. Um, but her name's Barbara Harvey. Actually, Sarah, if you wouldn't mind, like maybe typing in her email in the chat.
Definitely.
Thanks. Yeah, because if maybe you could, if you don't really know, like maybe you're thinking like, oh, like I don't know if I can really apply for this. Definitely reach out to Barbara Harvey. Like, she's the nicest woman ever. She'd be happy to talk to you guys about, anybody who's interested in this fund. Um, and she'll be happy to help and kind of guide you through kind of the application process as well. So yeah. So some additional strategies. I kind of have this image here. Um, for one, I kind of like this image because it actually is from my own personal handshake. So you can see that I applied on one day to a variety of different places, organizations, and a variety of different jobs. Um, so that's kind of what you want to go for. If you find an internship and you see it on Handshake or at any number of websites, and you're like, that's it, that's what I want, that's it. Like, you're honestly setting yourself up, for disappointment, because if you only just set your sights on one internship or one job, you're putting all your eggs in one basket, and you don't want to do that. So as you can see, I put, my eggs in all kinds of different baskets and all kinds of different areas of work and internships. And as one of those is the senior peer career coach. So you definitely want to apply for multiple opportunities. And I actually did an event with Barbara Harvey, um, where we did it on entrepreneurship, and the founder of Panera Bread was there. And he really, really touched on the fact that students like us at OSU, when we're young, we really need to try to dip our toes in all kinds of different areas of work, and not just think like, oh, that's all I want to do, that's all I'm going to do. Because you may think you like something, and after you go and work after, like, for a couple years, you may realize like, wow, I hate that. So definitely don't knock something until you try it. You never know, you may like go to an unpaid internship or a paid internship or just a seasonal job, and especially with break coming up, just kind of try something new, for that month, because you never know, you may realize like you really, really love it. So definitely, I really want to put that out there. And also, one of our leads, career coaches, Dianese Thompson, she's actually on here too, I think. She actually brought this really good resource. It's a tracking system, a free tracking system. um, and it looks like this. So I know it can get kind of to be a lot. I know from experience, when you're applying to different positions, it gets to be a lot to remember, like, oh, like, where did I apply to that? Like, what website did I use? Did I use Indeed or Handshake, or did I go to their website? And then remembering like when and all that. It can be a lot. And this is a free resource. I will actually, Like, what is that? Okay. I'll actually drop the link to it in the chat because it'll just it makes things a lot simpler. um, so definitely, I would say you just like you can't write in it, so you have to like make a copy of it and save it. I think you can save it as an Excel spreadsheet if you prefer that more. But you can kind of put information, and you can change these titles if you don't want it to say pre-interview and interview. Um, but it's really nice because I know when I applied for multiple positions and they ask me like, "Oh, how did you hear about us?" I'm like, "Ooh, I forget." So kind of just keeping that information in here allows you to, when they ask you that during an interview, you can be like, "Oh, I applied to you on Handshake and whatnot." And it kind of keeps you on top of things when like with the do the research, did you send a follow-up email? And if you applied and like they did have a deadline for the applications and it's closed and you haven't heard anything in 2 weeks, it kind of makes you think, it keeps track of that. And then you're like, you know what, I should send a follow-up email. So it's really nice, and it'll help you be organized during the application process because as I said, you really should be applying to multiple opportunities, and this will help you kind of manage all of that. Um, and as I kind of touched on, there is like, you don't just have to use Handshake. I think OSU really pushes that because that is something that we are able to use and it's really convenient. But there are other resources, and I am going to kind of touch on a couple of those here in the next slides. But first is Handshake. So I don't know if everybody has used Handshake or has made a profile on yet, but it's definitely something you should do. There's all kinds of events and job opportunities and internships you can find. And there's even, as you can see on the slide, like our resources are on there. So anything I've talked about, the tip sheets and the templates, like you can find there. So I'll actually go to this. Oh, and of course. I'll log into my Handshake, and I'll show you a really good profile we have. Okay. Okay, so this is actually another career coach. Her name's Brandy Williams. She's also really great. She made this kind of test profile. As you can see, she has like a kind of like a statement on her page. She has her education, and then she has like work experience. This is something I know, like when I've talked to students during the drop-in hours, I've asked them like, "Oh, like, did you put a lot of time into your Handshake page?" And they're like, "No." Um, and this is definitely something you want to put some time into. You want to make sure it looks, nice and clean and professional because a lot of times, if you go to a career fair and you follow up with an email, that company or organization might look you up on Handshake, and if how you were at the career fair doesn't match how your Handshake profile looks, that may not be the best thing. So you definitely want to make sure you have a photo that clearly shows like who you are, what you look like, um, and stuff like that, and have like your prominent experience kind of at the top and stuff. And so she has like her high school. I don't know if this is all truly real for her, but so yeah, and you can add like courses you've taken. So if you're in the business school, like if you're at Fisher, you can add like if you've taken like finance classes or accounting classes, if you have like any certifications and so on and so forth. You can add like projects you've done. So it's really something that a lot of employers on Handshake, this is something that they will go through at times. And I know like if you do have a Handshake, you probably think like, "Oh my gosh, I get so many messages from people who look through your profile," which is true. Like, I'm sure a lot of people, um, get a lot of messages from different organizations. I know I do because they have looked at my profile, but if it's really clean and professional, you will get a lot of messages from people finding your profile based on like the kind of job they need. And so here you can see like you can go to events and you can see the different events that we have on campus. You know, there's one for like the Human Ecology College. I'll look up. So here's the event for tonight. Um, there's an info session on getting to know Grange Insurance. Like, there's so much that Handshake offers. And here's the event for next week that Sarah's doing, the Networking with Impact, which I highly recommend people signing up for because she's going to go over some really great information. Um, but you can see like there are so many events on here, and they're really helpful because you Sarah will go into this when she talks about networking, so I don't want to, take away from her session next week. But being able to meet with people and talk to people and kind of getting to know, like, if you are kind of tossed between two areas of study or two career paths, these events are a great way to figure out like what you want to do and kind of where you want to go with your path. So definitely utilize these. Mm. So then if you go over to Career Center and you go over, oh, okay. And then if you go over to resources, you can see like here's the resume, interviewing and network focused tip sheets, career success YouTube channel and playlist. And then we also even have a podcast now. So you can see like what I've been talking about, like it's all on here too, and you have access to it all. As you can see, there's templates, there's all kinds of different resources we have that are at your fingertips, especially with Handshake. Um, so back. Okay, so the next source you can use when searching for internships as jobs is oh, um, going global. Um, this one, it doesn't just like you can look at the whole like world if you do want to have an internship in Italy or London, you can look for that here. Yes, okay. So this is what the website looks like. You can type in, I'll type in marketing and then see you have so like you can look anywhere. I'll just do Italy. And then it'll show you all the different opportunities they have there. I don't really know what some of these mean, but you can look in the United States. Yeah, so I looked in the United States and you can see they have like ones in Columbus, and you can even search like a specific city. Like if you want to go back to your hometown, or you have a specific city that you want to go to, like Houston or Chicago. Um, this is a really nice resource because you can look literally anywhere you want. And I kind of think it's in these kind of instances, it's a little better than Handshake if you want to look broader at different areas around the country or the globe. Um, so yeah, that's a really great resource. It's called Going Global. Um, yeah, and the website's main target is to kind of promote globalization and kind of get people. Uh, they promote like diversity and like kind of getting people immersed in different cultures. So if you're really interested in something like that, I would suggest using this website if you want to explore some of that. Hopefully COVID calms down and then, traveling can be more accessible. So here are some additional resources for job and internship searches that the Career Success Center provides. And I actually have the link right here. Oh, right here. So as you can see, we actually have them grouped by like general, short-term options, population specific, location specific. So there's just a number of them. So even under this location specific, the first few are just like are Ohio, but as you go down, then there's going global right there. So if you that way, like, because then you can look location specific to what you want. But there's a lot of other resources. There's a local job board, the International Organization Careers. Um, I would just say pay attention to these little letters by each one of them. The I is for internship. So if you're just looking for internships, like you would go to Ohio means internships. Um, but if you were looking for jobs, you could do either this one because it does have the J, or you do the Franklin County where government works. And there's a little key up here so that if you ever get confused, you can see that. Um, and actually here, they're actually under this, they're actually broken down under the career community specific. I'll kind of go later on in the presentation about kind of the career communities, but here you can see, if you're in the education career community, here's kind of the websites you can use, kind of find different jobs or internships that would kind of meet your needs. And if you're in the entrepreneurship career community. So it's really nice because all like some of the links kind of overlap in the different broken down tabs, but if you're just looking for something short term, like we are about to be on break, you can go to like summer jobs or cool works, which is nice because then you're not like searching through like a bunch of long term jobs. You This is geared towards that. Or you want something specific to a location, or you want something specific to your major. So it's really nice how like we've already compiled all these resources for you guys. Like you don't need to go out and searching for them. If you just go to the career success website, you go to students and then navigating the career planning process and favorite links, it's right under there. So this is definitely a great resource, and I'll actually copy this link and put it in the chat. Um, so yeah, sir. I saw that question. Just you can just like stop me whenever to talk about that. Um, Kind of the last thing in the overall internship and job search you want to do. So, kind of once you know, you've already clarified your goals. That was the first step. You've gotten your materials prepared. That's the second step. And then you've started searching for internships. And I would say before you even apply, you want to conduct a research. You want to know more about kind of the organizations that you're about to apply to. If you're really big on like saving the environment, maybe you don't go work for like Exxon or something. So you kind of want to make sure that your values align, if that's important to you. And what's really nice is actually the OSU library allows us to use, like without prescriptions or without paying, Hoover's Online and LexisNexis. So I have it right here, but I'm probably gonna have to log in. Oh, so if you just go to the Ohio Libraries .edu, you can look up and find. Let me see. Somewhere down here. So then you can see like Hoover's Online is right here, and these different websites will give you information about a company or an organization. I think I don't know if everybody has a basic understanding of Glassdoor, but Glassdoor is kind of previous employees that have worked for a company that have written reviews about it. So those websites will allow you to see, especially Hoover's Online, they allow you kind of to see like the breakdown of salaries. They allow you to see a lot about a company. It can be a little overwhelming. I would suggest maybe just going to Glassdoor if you're really more searching for like kind of how the environment is at the company organization, um, because that's like actual personal. I find Glassdoor, it can be a little biased. You just have to, take everything with a bit of a grain of salt when you see something on there. But definitely you want to look this up because if you apply for an internship and you don't even know what the company's values are, their mission, or anything, um, you'll kind of be left in the dark when you start. And I know that when I've applied for internships and jobs in the past, a lot of the time during the interview, they ask me, like, did you see our mission statement? Do you agree with it? Or did you see our values? Like, do you agree with them? And sometimes they won't tell me what their values or mission statement is. They just expected that I've already researched that and know it to give like a answer. So I would highly suggest like being able to know what those are, because if you can go into an interview and say like, "Oh, I saw your values and I really loved how you guys value like respect and community." Companies love that. Employers love hearing that during an interview. I've conducted interviews for past internships, and we always looked for that and we always wrote that down. If they knew like kind of like the premise of the job and what our company did, and if they understood the mission of our company, like we wrote that down as a note saying like they researched us or they knew the mission, because that's kind of a bonus point for you, like, oh, they took the time to actually research us. They weren't just like clicking through and applying for multiple jobs and they don't even remember us. um, so I would say definitely conduct your research so that you're prepared. And also, great sources for this is social media, checking out their LinkedIn page or their Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatnot. Kind of seeing how they target their audience may help you to see if you like how they target their audience, then maybe you'll appreciate that. And if you like the values that they push to their audience, then those are the values that they push in their organization. So those are just some things to keep in mind when applying for internships and jobs. Um, and then, so I kind of touched on this before, but it's um, when you make a Handshake profile, you have to pick a career community. So as you can see, there are 10 career communities we have through the Career Success Center. And it's kind of just based off of your major and your career interests. So I know that I'm in the finance consulting, management, and sales career community. And honestly, the biggest thing that you can get out of these is, and don't think anybody really utilizes these as much as they should, but you really get a lot of networking experience. You get to meet with like-minded people. I know right now it's hard because there's not very many in-person events. So a lot of people don't think these are worth it, but it really, really, really is. Like, I can't stress enough that being involved in your career community is really important, because a lot of these career communities, like, you get to go to an actual company and organization and see the environment. I know one career community, it was the journalism, sports, entertainment, and production. They actually went to like, um, they went to one of the news stations and got to meet a lot of the news anchors. Um, I think it was for Channel 10 News. Um, so something like that you wouldn't necessarily get from like just doing it yourself. Like, they got that because they were part of this career community and they worked with a career coach and they got this opportunity to go visit an actual environment of the career that they like. Um, so there's a lot of benefits for joining these career communities and for really being involved in them. You not only get to meet people, like I said, but you get like networking, as Sarah will touch on later next week. And you'll just get to like kind of, you'll get to hear from other people. Like maybe somebody interned at an organization that you were like, man, I really want to intern there. and you find out it's horrible. Um, that's something you won't really get from just kind of talking to your friends, but you'll get from these like-minded people that you'll be with in your career community. So it's something really that you should really look into. I would highly suggest that after this meeting, making sure that you're a part of one and just kind of trying to get more involved in it. So this is just kind of going over again our virtual drop-in hours this semester. Again, here are the hours. Here's a QR code and then the website I have at the bottom. I highly suggest. It's free. I mean, we give advice. We will review your resume. Um, I mean, it's like the greatest thing ever. It's like it's so easy. Like we're not mean. It's not scary, I promise, you know. We're just here to help you guys. And especially with, like I've said, like the career fairs are coming up next semester. You're going to be starting to look for internships. You definitely like you want a third party to review your resume. I know like having your roommate review it or your mom, um, you may think that like that's good enough, but trust me, like we have been trained in like what employers are looking for in resumes. So we're honestly your best resource when it comes to that. So I highly suggest utilizing this. And then here's just some information about our department. We are the Career Success Department with the College of Arts and Sciences. We're located at Denny Hall, but currently we're all online because of COVID. We have social media, we have a podcast. So definitely, if you want to be up to date on events, I would suggest following us on Twitter and Facebook. Um, and then there's our email. I know I kind of went through that fast and there was probably a lot thrown at you guys, so I apologize. I know somebody had asked a question in the chat that Sarah had kind of um, said that we would talk about. But does anybody else have any questions? I'm going to stop sharing my screen too.
To go back to the question that Amy had, it was basically about first-year students who may not have as much experience in the working field, and how they can build their Handshake account, which I would like to add that your Handshake is kind of like your online resume,
Mhm.
just as your LinkedIn is. So one thing I'd recommend is coming into our resume drop-in hours where we talk to people about how can you leverage your skills on a resume. And you could also talk to a career coach about that. But if you, Spencer, can you give me access to screen share?
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Because with Handshake specifically, there are some other options that you wouldn't necessarily put on a resume that I think would be good here.
Yeah. Okay, you got
So
it.
here I am back at Brandy's profile. And the thing that I like about it here is you have this summary right here. So, you know, objective statements aren't really a thing that we recommend on resumes anymore, but this is a chance to kind of explain what your interests are and a little bit about just any kind of experience you've had. And so, of course, you put your work experience here, but in the bottom, and this is something that sometimes I see missing from student resumes, is talking about your organizations and your extracurriculars that you've joined at OSU. So no matter what year you are here, if you joined or participated in anything like that, I think that's a really good stand-in to show your professionalism, your passion for things, and you know, your qualifications. And then also they have this course section right here, which I've used before, especially if you've done like, if you've taken a class that's like field experience. So like I've taken a class where I basically assisted at a high school in Columbus. So that's something where like I wasn't really paid to do it, but I have this experience that's really valuable, and you could articulate that here. And then you also have projects down here, which you can use if you have a portfolio, if you have something that you want to highlight that you've done in class. So yeah, reiterating again that your coursework is totally valid on a resume, especially if you're a freshman, you feel maybe that you're missing something there.
I would say for freshmen, I know especially this year, um, it is probably hard because not a lot of clubs are meeting, um, and you can't really be in an organization. But I would just say you can use some things from high school on Handshake. I would just say probably after your freshman year, remove that. Um, but
That's a,
definitely, like oh, sorry, Sarah.
I was gonna say that's a really good point. It doesn't have, especially if you're a freshman and
Mhm.
even if you're a sophomore, if those experiences, like those organizations, those clubs you were in high school, that's fair game too.
Yeah, especially like touching on this like whole pandemic thing, like employers are gonna be understanding if you say like, oh, I haven't been able to be in a lot of clubs because they're not going on right now. So just try to get as much on there as you can. But it's like again, like they're gonna be understanding, especially if you're a freshman. So joining a career community, I can actually show you the website. Um,
I also have it pulled up if that's easier too.
oh yeah, you just do it then. Sorry.
At least I think this is how I would join a career community. Let me share again.
I thought I had the website up.
So yeah, here's the profile again. You
Oh, we
go
can't see
to the
it.
site. You can't see it?
Oh wait. Oh wait, never mind.
Okay. So yeah, go to this top right and then career interests.
Mhm.
And then here you can like personalize your handshake to what it's going to show you, what jobs it's going to show you. Um, and then down here is some
Mhm.
of the career communities.
Yeah, I apologize. I should have shown that. So yeah, you can if you it's more through Handshake is where you don't have like if she goes up, it like you can check off what career communities interest you. So you don't have to just join one, you can join multiple. So if you're interested in government but also healthcare, you can join both of those. Um, so it but again, like I've said, they're really important to join because you'll get to meet people who are also interested in those and you'll get to network that with them.
And you get
So
emails
yeah.
about events that are specifically related to jobs in industries that you're interested in. So
And you have a career the career coaches that we have at the Career Success Center, they're more geared toward like specific career communities. So when you make an appointment with them, they'll be more towards like what your career community is. You can like pick which career coach based off which career community. Mm, yeah. Are there any other questions? If there are no other questions, I really appreciate you guys listening to me kind of go over this, and I really appreciate Sarah's help and Dianese's help. Kind of struggled at the beginning there, but I will definitely be sending out an email later on with the presentation and the recording for you guys to kind of reference later on with all the links and the different um, tip sheets that there are. Um,
yeah,
and
we got, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, you can go, Sarah.
I was going to say there was one question in the chat.
Yeah.
Can I do an internship after I graduate? And I'll say this is a great opportunity to schedule an appointment with your career coach
Hmm.
because that is a question that I think would depend on your industry a lot. So I would talk to someone like Donnie's, who is with us today, and there are other career coaches who would have that kind of specialized information. And if you're interested, you can like put in the chat. We can show you how to make an appointment. If not, you can do that later.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm happy to add a little context here for that question too while we have you, Megan. Typically, internships do have an educational requirement for them for most companies. So oftentimes internships are being filled for undergraduate candidates. So most often when you graduate, you wouldn't necessarily be completing an internship. However, many companies do have entry-level rotational programs or different types of programs designed for graduates who didn't get an opportunity to complete an internship during their undergraduate experience. So that's a long answer to say, you will not necessarily have a lot of opportunities to complete an internship after you graduate, but there are other entry-level opportunities that will give you a similar experience. And you can certainly book a coaching appointment to learn more about what that looks like in your particular industry.
Any other questions for those that are left? If not, I'm going to end the meeting, and I really appreciate you guys listening again. If there's any questions you have, feel free to reach out. I probably should have put my email in the chat, but feel free to come to virtual drop-in hours, and me, Sarah, or any of the other PCCs are happy to help you guys. So thank you.